so travelers, Foresight, are able to bring in products valued at $1,000 tax free.
Yes.
All right. That is fantastic. And then for the smaller shoppers, so then the government addresses the larger people who have visas and can travel. But then for the persons who can't travel and are online, they can purchase online for under $100, still tax free.
Still tax free.
This is a tremendous benefit, though. Foresight. Why is this not? Why do we not see an ad on TV with a young girl going to pick up her package down at one of these companies and suggesting, why can't we be a little bit more creative? Why is it that we're not seeing that? Because this is a direct benefit.
Neighbor, I've suggested that. That's a question that I've been asking myself.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's something that Foresight has been, advocating for. But go ahead, Foresight.
Falling on the right ears. But neighbor, in addition to that, they'll point out that there was a time in Jamaica when clearing a barrel would be left up to the discretion of the custom officer, right, at the ports. So you could very well find yourself paying like 18,000, 12,000, 13,000 for one barrel. And it is the government, right? JLP, in 2007, it was Bruce Golding at the time, when Danville Walker was appointed as commissioner, that says no average Jamaican who is clearing an ordinary food barrel.
I don't choose the songs. Hold on, sir. I don't choose the songs that we play here, okay?
Okay.
I didn't play. They're complaining that I play cartel. Go ahead. Go to hell.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, neighbor. So it was when Bruce Golding took office in 2007 and appointed Danville Walker to the custom, Jamaica Customs, that they implemented a flat rate policy for barrels, which would enable ordinary Jamaicans who are carrying importing a ordinary food and clothes barrel, to pay no more than $6,500 per barrel. So when people talk about JLP is not for the poor, JLP actually do more for the poor. It's just that I don't think they speak much about the small benefits, right? Because people used to cry, neighbor, when they go to the wharf, $18,000, sometimes $20,000, one barrel, ordinary barrel.
How much to clear a barrel now?
6.5, no more than 6.5. That's what I'm saying. Flat rate now. Once it's an ordinary barrel, you only pay more if you have commercial items in it, like if you're bringing like clothes to sell and all of that. But once it's an ordinary food and clothes barrel, no more than 6,500. It is JLP under the leadership of Bruce Golding that implemented that. Not the PNP who love to talk about they care more about the poor. It was the JLP government that implemented that policy.
So you could pack a barrel in New York and ship it down to Jamaica, and when it comes to Jamaica, a 6.5 you're paying. Once it's flour, rice,
6.5.
huh?
And again, neighbor, yes, neighbor, 6.5, no more than 6.5. People are clearing barrel now. You don't notice, you don't hear much complaints again, neighbor, about clearing barrel and how much it costs. Because
and even if it having clothes and so forth, same 6.5.
And neighbor, in addition to that, that $1,000 allowance that we spoke about earlier, you're able to get 3 of those ordinary barrels on it, and pay only $1,500 to clear 3 of them. You're able to get up to 3 barrels on that $1,000.
Say that again, Foresight.
That $1,000 that we spoke about earlier, that you can use to bring in like appliances and furniture pieces that are under $1,000. That same $1,000.
Somebody need to send me a barrel, please. Is there anyone in America that can send me some food in a barrel? I pay $6.5 to clear it. Wow.
That same $1,000.
Go ahead.
Neighbor, your barrel will be coming, neighbor. So that same $1,000 can be used, can cover up to 3 barrels, neighbor. If you would be, all right. So you will be, You will pick it up at the airport. You will get that $1,000 when you're coming in at the airport, and you can use it to clear the barrels of oil. So if you have barrels coming in at the wharf, you will be able to go to the wharf and clear these barrels, up to 3 of them, using that $1,000. And you pay only 1,500 Jamaican dollars for that.
Well, thank you for that. I didn't even realize that. All right. So Foresight, can you just tell us again what it is that the government has done in terms of this part of the whole discussion? You're saying that there's $100 for persons shopping online, tax free.
Right. That's for persons who do not travel. That you get that just when you import items here in Jamaica, import items from here. So you shop online and you get that.
And then there's $1,000 for those who travel.
And you're returning to Jamaica, you get $1,000 allowance every time you return.
Yes. And for people sending barrels, it's a flat 6.5.
It's a flat 6.5. Even without the allowance, that's a flat 6.5. If you're using the allowance, right, then the 6.5 doesn't apply. You can use $1,000 to clear 3 barrels, up to 3 barrels.
What do you mean the allowance?
If you have allowance, let's say a lot of persons, neighbor, would travel overseas, right? And they would return to Jamaica, but they have barrels that they would have shipped off. With that $1,000, they can take it to the wharf and clear up to 3 barrels using that allowance, right? 3 barrels. So some people will have barrels, some people might have appliances that they ship, some people might have pieces of furniture, right? Whatever it is, you can use that $1,000 at the ports to clear up to 3 barrels, right? If you're clearing appliances, once the number of appliances that you're going to be clearing, right, totals on that 1,000, you can use it to clear it as well. So you can use it to clear up to 3 barrels, or you can use it to clear the appliances. It depends on what you ship. But I'm just saying now, for persons who ship barrels and didn't ship any appliances, they can get up to 3 barrels covered under that $1,000. Once they are ordinary food and clothes barrels, they can get up to 3 barrels and pay only $1,500 instead of $19,500.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Finley? His microphone is
I'm here.
Mr. Finley, the people working minimum wage should see a further increase in June, right? As of June 1.
Yes.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
So the minimum wage is going to be moving from $15,000 to $16,000 tomorrow.
Yes.
Correct, sir?
Correct. That is correct.
All right. Where was the minimum wage when the party took when the administration came in? Where was the minimum?
In 2016, minimum wage was $6,200.
So the minimum wage in 2016 was $6,200.
$6,200.
Okay. The people out there who are saying to you, Mr. Finley, that 16,000 is still not enough. How would you respond to that?
A minimum wage, neighbor, a minimum wage is not something that no government wish their citizen to work for. A minimum wage is simply a guide that says no one can be paid below this amount, right? So a minimum wage is not something that in no first world country can a minimum wage earner buy a house. Not in the United States, not in Canada, not in England, not in France, nowhere.
Only in Jamaica.
Only in Jamaica can a minimum wage earner stand up and buy a house. So yes, the government, I am sure Andrew Holness would like minimum wage to be $50,000. But that is not possible, because if we move as a government, if we move minimum wage too fast, it's gonna have a negative effect where people will say, all right, fine, let me get rid of 3 of them employer because I can't afford to pay all of them. So if the government does agree with people. Say, yeah, minimum wage could be way higher. But what is the feasibility of bringing it up here? No. Right? So that is why this government has made it easier for people to upskill themselves and get out of this minimum wage cycle. The government has made skill training free to get out of the cycle that you're in, where you keep talking about minimum wage, minimum wage, minimum wage. Get out of the cycle.
Is it true, Mr. Finley, that the rate of inflation in Jamaica would have been ahead of where minimum wages have moved? In other words, can $16,000 buy today more than what $6,200 could buy in 2016? How much patties, for example, could the minimum wage worker buy in 2016 versus how much patty can buy today? Is the minimum wage worker better under the Labour Party today than he or she was in 2016? Are they better?
But him can buy a house, neighbor. Him couldn't buy a house back then.
Let's look at the minimum wage itself. Is the purchasing power of the minimum wage worker has it been depleted?
Neighbor, in the last 9 years, accumulative inflation is about, I think it's about 76%, if I'm not mistaken. It's about 76%. The minimum wage has increased 158%. Okay? Accumulative inflation over the last 10 years has been about 76% thereabout. That's between 2016 and now. The minimum wage has increased by 158%. Okay.
So you are saying to me that the value of the dollar for the minimum wage worker is way above that which the inflation is moving.
Way above that.
In other words, $16,000 today can buy a lot more than what $6,200 could buy in 2016.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
So, Foresight, it is not true, therefore, that minimum wage workers are worse off. That's not true.
No, but not at all. Because I think even using the party example that you use, we had worked it out, and even this your live before, and we found that the minimum wage earner today, I think it had worked out to can buy 6 more parties. I think it worked out to about 6 more parties that the minimum wage earner today would be able to buy. So these things are just things thrown out there, neighbor, because people sometimes do not actually do their research, or they know that people are not going to rely on the right source for information, so they just throw these things out just to make people think that they are doing worse. But the actual truth, neighbor, is that if a minimum wage earner can buy a house today, that speaks volumes, neighbor.
Yeah, but that is in addition to the income that they are getting.
Mm-hmm. But neighbor, bear in mind this also, that a minimum wage earner, minimum wage earning in Jamaica today is I think is about 15% of the workforce earn minimum wage. It is not a large section of persons that are earning minimum wage. It's a certain category. I think it's mainly some people in some wholesales, because some of them are getting above that. Some domesticated jobs like helpers and those, some of them getting minimum wage. So this minimum wage thing that people like to cry on is not a wide section of our workforce. It is a limited section. I think it's about 15%. I think that's the last thing I checked. It's about 15%. And it's because of this increase in minimum wage why the poverty rate has been cut. We increased minimum wage and we created 250,000 jobs. And these 250,000 jobs are not minimum wage.
Minimum wage. Exactly.
These are high-paying jobs. These are call center. These are BPO jobs that people are taking home in excess of $150,000, $200,000 for the month. And neighbor, I made the distinction between call center and BPO because there is a difference, and I think that some people, when they comment on these, are remembering call centers of the 90s. We had in the 90s, we had call centers in Jamaica. How does call center work, neighbor? Call centers was telemarketing agents that come here, you get an account and you call people in the US and you try to sell them goods and services. Now, if the person hang up them phone for you, you don't get no money. So if you don't make a successful sale for the week, you don't earn any money. That was call center life. What we have today is business process outsourcing, that we offer customer service. So when you go to work in a BPO now, you sit by your telephone and you answer a call. That is what we have today. Right?
Okay.
Some people, I remember in the call center in the 90s, what they never used to make no money because if you not sell nothing, you can't get paid. We have a different service today that is employing thousands of Jamaicans at a very high salary.
Yes, and I just want to say something on that too, neighbor, because I don't want people to be listening and thinking that we are suggesting that a minimum wage earner is earning enough, right? We still want them to understand that we understand that a minimum wage is a minimum wage, right? It is not enough to cover the expenses, right, or the cost of living, right? But what we're saying is that it is better, a minimum wage earner is better off than they were before. I just want to make that clear. Another thing, Carl, is that, Chuck, is that these call center workers, there was a time in Jamaica, neighbor, that we didn't really have any major source of employment for persons who are starters, right? And a girl who might be attending school and she drop out because she got pregnant or, just experience a setback. No, because she got pregnant or, just experience a setback. No,
Hold on, foresight. Philippians. Hold on, foresight. All right, great.
Yeah, what we're saying
that's how the technology works. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the BPOs now, right, represent a source of employment for persons who might need to start. Because there was a time in Jamaica where everywhere you apply, they say you need experience. And then the question was asked, then if I can't get a work, then I won't be able to get experience. So it was like a catch-22 situation. The call center would have addressed that issue, neighbor, by giving people a start, right? And what it does also, it takes a lot of what would otherwise be probably called idle hands, right? Are off the road. So a lot of, used to go like different areas in Jamaica, you see a lot of boys, on the corner. You used to see a lot of girls all over the place, they would have to seek bar jobs, sometimes they have to pick up jobs like at some stores that exploit them. Now the call center now, neighbor, represents that source of employment. There is an article that's called Fierce Fight for Talent that is explaining that some of these stores, and they call a couple names, that are now struggling to keep their workers and the minuscule salary that they are paying them, because they have to be competing with call centers that are paying better wages. So they are saying they are having a challenge keeping workers, and they are now forced to pay, their staff much higher salaries because they cannot keep up with the competition from the call centers. So I'm just saying that to say that it is much better than it was before. No longer you can have these stores just like abuse. It's now an employees market, neighbor. It was once an employers market, but what you find now is that the employers now are fighting, right, to find workers rather than workers are fighting or to find employment.
Okay. Time has run out on us, but Mr. Finley, you are there, sir?
I'm here.
Yes. So, Mr. Finley, what you're basically saying to us this morning is that in terms of the common man and what the government has done over the last 9 years, you are suggesting that there is sufficient evidence for the government to campaign to these common people, to suggest to them that we have placed you in a better position, to the point where your income has not only improved, but we have managed your affairs to the point where you can actually get a house. You feel therefore, Mr. Finley, that the common man's argument has been won by your party?
The Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, has done more in the last 9 years for this common man than the PMP has done in their 18 years plus the last 4. That's fact.
Facts.
Has done more for this common man to not to prey on their commonality, but to lift them out of
the poverty of aspirations, Mr. Finley, that Adam Smith speaks about. Don't you think that it's not so much what you do for them, but how you get them to recognize what you have done and to help them to lift themselves out of the psychology of their situation? Isn't that where the problem is?
Neighbor, here's what we're facing. We have 2 sets of young people now. We have the young people that has matured under this administration. This is a generation of hope and wants, and people are willing to fight to get themselves to the top.
No, Mr. Finley, but here am I this morning, not knowing.
Let me finish, neighbor.
Yes, but yes, hold your point a little bit. Not knowing that if I traveled abroad, I could take up $1,000 worth of things and take in, and when I come to Kingston, I would not have to pay. I did not know that a minimum wage worker qualifies for an NHT house, that I could apply for a grant on the open market and get $3.5 million. This information, Mr. Finley, is available. Not only is it information, it's actual. Our people don't know it, sir. We bust them into our campaigns. We give them liquor to drink and food to eat. But are we telling them about the opportunities we are providing for them? And are we helping them to access the information and the opportunities?
Neighbor, Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party has changed the way the Jamaica Labour Party keeps its conference. Our conference is now a conference of information. One move they have made is when they ban the noise-making device, what we call the
Vuvuzela. Vuvuzela, the name?
That was banned from our conference because we want people to come, listen, learn, and carry out this information. So that is one move in order to get them. Now, another thing now, Andrew has spoken about the campaign on poverty, where we have to move away from. So Andrew Holness as leader has decided, listen to me, no longer are we gonna run campaign on people's circumstances, but rather on their aspirations. So listen to me. This is where you are, and this is where we're willing to take you. So yes, the government has put a lot of things in place. The information is available. The information is available, but it's just the old saying that you can only lead the horse to the water, but we can't force him to drink, is where we are. So now
I believe we have to force our people to drink, sir, because as a nation, as a developing nation, we can't leave anybody behind or anyone behind. And therefore, I have heard the argument. For example, I was speaking to Mr. Samuda yesterday from the People's National Party, and he was arguing that whilst the macro economy is he credits the government for its achievement at the macro level, but he points to small communities in his constituency that don't have water. And the challenge is, as a local politician, how is it that he is to communicate to these people that the government's achievements will reach them soon in terms of the water that they are to get? Apart from talking about it, sir, you don't think that we need to connect people with the opportunities available?
Neighbor, it is sad. It is really sad that a PMP politician in 2025 is telling you about communities that don't have water when they led this country for 18 and a half years, neighbor. When it's this government that has shown its willingness to bring water to every section of this country. It may not reach yours yet, but you can see where they are. They are up the road, and once they're up the road, they will come down. So it is sad that a PMP politician is coming here to tell you about water. Look at Westmoreland that produce a water minister, and his Matthew Samuda have to come out to give Westmoreland running water. Right?
So what we need, neighbor, is for the message to be saying, your time soon come, instead of, get the water yet. Right? And
development, neighbor, is not a magic pill, or is not a light switch where you turn on. It's a process. There's a lot of things in Jamaica need fixing, but we cannot fix them overnight. And the main thing that we need to fix everything is to have a stable and growing economy. It takes time to build that. The second thing we needed to do is to get rid of the albatross that has been around with neck for generations, which is the huge debt. And the government has maintained and managed that so well. So we are building.
Well, the Prime Minister said the economy can yam. And
yeah,
I think.
No, he said it can yam.
Let me tell you
economy can yam.
let me tell you
Not
how
very
you cook
elegant.
economy, neighbor. Let me tell you how you cook an economy. Right? The very food where you put in the pot, right? You have to have a good economy so you can actually purchase it. If you think a lie we are tell, check on Argentina a couple of years ago. Their economy collapsed and they couldn't buy anything. So you can eat an economy. You can eat the roads. You can eat the hospital. You can eat the police.
So as the government heads to the decision day for Jamaicans, here is the government creditably performing a number of improvements, social programs, you point to them, housing, education, health, improvement in salaries. But it still will have to convince many Jamaicans that their aspirations falls within the government's vision and timelines. Mr. Finlay, when I look at the Blue Dot polls last night, I see within these polls uncertainty in the minds of Jamaicans, that many Jamaicans remain unsure, uncertain. Do you feel, sir, that the party can make a compelling case for its re-election to those persons who are undecided? Because I think that's where the election really is.
I know we will. I know we will. We will make that.
You will.
Yes, we will. Without a doubt. But neighbor, here's why we are in this position. And as we say in the neighbor, messaging has a lot to do with it. And let me put it this way to you. When PIOJ announces that poverty has been cut in half, the Bank of Jamaica said the economy grew and all of this. You only see this on one single radio station. One. And you'll see it nationwide. I have to give them credit sometimes. You see it nationwide. Now, Alfred Dawes went out there and talked about a drill. That's in the Gleaner every day.
Yes,
Yes, that's in the Gleaner every day. So people, neighbor, have a real disconnect for true between what is actually happening and the perception that they are sold. Because when the largest media house in the Caribbean is selling false narrative, the people is gonna buy it sometimes, neighbor.
yes.
Yeah. Well, to be fair to the party, and I must say this, I think I see Mr. Morgan, the Minister of Works. I think he's listening. Yes, if I to be fair to the party, I think the very polls suggest that there are sufficient Jamaicans that recognizes the performance of the party. And I think, Mr. Finley, if I may say so myself, that there is a deep admiration for Holness among many Jamaicans that feels that he's trying. Because it's difficult, This is not an easy country to
Man of steel, neighbor. Man of steel. The man of steel.
Yeah, it's not easy, And when you take that into what he has been through in terms of attempts to malign, to destroy, I think
Tear him down.
for you to be 4 points ahead at this time suggests that you probably are in pole position. I just
And to have achieved that,
Holness was a 10-point lead over the opposition leader. The party is close, but leader for leader, our leader is 10 points ahead.
yes, yeah. Well,
Exactly.
and Paul's hypothesis, they call it, you are going to end with a false conclusion. You have to make sure that your hypothesis is tested correctly. Okay, that is why it is very important that if you are going to reach a correct conclusion, you start out right. It must be said that the 2020 elections, the People's National Party in 2020 was depleted, disunited, and quite frankly, were not in any league with the Labour Party at that time. And the results show it. The PNP of 2025 is a different political unit. And you are going to see it going forward. They are providing the government with a stronger political fight. And as I explained to you, the political basis of both parties are not very far apart. Whatever the PNP can do in terms of crowd, the Labour Party can do it. If the PNP can full up 100 buses, the Labour Party can full up 100 and probably 5. It is my view that at this point, the Labour Party has the edge in terms of base support. Base support, I say. In other words, if the PNP has a maximum of 450, the Labour Party would be probably at 457 or 458, not very far ahead. And it is the Holness factor. The Labour Party has Andrew Holness, and Andrew Holness gives the Jamaica Labour Party a distinct advantage over what I call the golden factor. Now, if you look at the political parties as they ramp up their campaigns, you would see that in the constituencies, the members of parliament or the constituent, the person running for the seat, puts up their picture with the leader. So they are telling you that you must not only vote for the representative, but you must also vote for the leader. You know, many of the political discussions in Jamaica are pretty simple and myopic, you know. Very, very true. No disrespect, but people are speaking based on how they feel. Yes, and a lot of votes too. People sometimes vote not on any issue, but on how they feel. 4 points ahead, months before a general election, the governing party with a 4 percentage point lead, and its leader with a 10-point lead over his rival, places the party in a pretty strong position.
Yes, neighbor.
Coming to you, Carl. Places the party in a pretty strong position. The advantage that the party has is not only that it has performed, and this is where I think the Laborites are mystified, because they are banking on the performance. However, as I pointed out to you earlier, PNP supporters are not likely to see that. The 400,000 to 500,000 people in Jamaica that are comrades could not care less if the hospitals are fixed, crime is down, don't matter. They're still going to vote for the People's National Party. Once you get that into your mind, then you'll begin to appreciate where the politics is. All right? And therefore, don't be mystified that, oh God, after such a brilliant performance, the party is not 10 points ahead. You will not be 10 points ahead in any poll in Jamaica for the rest of this year. Not happen. All right? However, see the positive in the poll. It is your third consecutive term. There is what you call fatigue, and it is psychological. We don't like to continue the same path for long. Even men will tell you that. Yes, that, you know, you're with a girl for 10 years. Oh, after a good time, you know, you have to really love her to continue to just go home to her every night. You have to be a man of a man of God. So there is a little bit of fatigue. Yes, a little bit of we desire to you desire to get a change, you know, a little bit of difference into the modus operandi of things. Is that change there? The challenge that we face in the politics, those of you who are comrades, is that the People's National Party really needs to do more to convince Jamaicans that it is the party of change, that they can do better than the party is doing at this time. And as I have said, that you have to look at the compelling narrative in the country. Is there a compelling narrative in Jamaica that the people want a change? There is not that compelling narrative. The polls do not suggest that. What the polls suggest is that the People's National Party is almost back to its base strength, right? And is going to be competitive in the election that is coming up. All right. So, Carl.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you have hit the nail on the head, and that is exactly my conclusion too. Is that seemingly the People's National Party base has come back. I think going forward, it's going to be difficult for the Labour Party to have a 8 to 10 to 12 point lead, knowing that the People's National Party.
Not if the PFP is united, sir.
No, yeah, but they're going to be united.
And if the Labour Party remains united, the PNP cannot trash them in any poll in Jamaica either.
Yeah. But they're going to, at this point, I don't see anything that is going to affect their unity. We are just a couple of weeks, maximum 12 weeks away from an election. So they're going to remain united because they want to win, and they want to win desperately, right? So the only contention I am having per se, where the poll result is concerned, and you're right, I am not so perturbed about that 4-point lead. Is a lead nonetheless, and you have alluded to it, neighbor, if you're listening to me, is that what strikes me, based on where we are coming from as a country, to the litany of performance of this government. I was expecting that the people, knowing where we're coming from and see where the country is going.
But which people? And that is I'm saying.
No. Let me finish.
Yes, okay.
Neighbor.
Yeah.
Previously, we were talking about the maturity of our electorate, right? And we want our electorate to vote on issues, right? Now, we have seen where government comes in and has performed the poverty rate, the employment rate, and all the social programs that this government has implemented at the micro level, not at the macro level, at the micro level, because we keep talking about the macro level and it's not filtering down to the lower people, which we have seen in this second term. Much of the social programs, as the government has allowed it to filter down to the lower class, the masses, the poverty rate, the employment rate, and so forth. But you're right, and all I'm saying is that based on where we were coming from, and I'm saying, and I keep saying to you that I don't think our electorate has matured to the point that we are going to be voting on policies per se, right? And it has been manifested now. We know that the electorate has not matured, because right now, the next elections, we are going to be voting on party lines. And you're right. So it doesn't matter what the government do, what positive the government has done. If you're a People's National Party supporters, you're not going to vote for the Labour Party. Right? You're not going to put country first or choose Jamaica, as the term says. You're going to want to say that.
Yes, you're going to choose your party.
Yes, you're going to choose a party. And I'm saying, based on where we are coming from, that is kind of sad.
Yes, but I make a second point that I would want you to respond to, Carl. And it is that we have so polarized the politics that we have really left it to the diehards.
Yes, to an extent, because
by the way, we have conducted ourselves too, Carl. Even on these live programs. I mean, I was listening to a program yesterday, and I could not believe that TikTok was allowing that type of behavior.
Yes, and I know the program came on about 3-4 o'clock yesterday. I was walking at the park and I was listening to it, and that guy went on a rant.
Well, maybe that's not the one, but the point is that many Jamaicans, listen to me, sir. One of the things that we have to understand is that even as we improve people's standard of living, one of the things we will also improve, Carl, their behavior, their thinking. And when we lift people up, Carl, they don't want to be pulled down anymore.
Yes, I would agree.
In other words, sir, we cannot continue to use the politics to alienate people. We need
Yes,
more
that is
people to
true.
participate
But
in the politics. We have to stop sending up our fellow comrades under their mother and
yes,
and fellow laborers under their mother, sir. Because
yes.
that is, you know, there are many people, sir, who would want to come on these programs and talk, and they're afraid.
Yeah, I was afraid because even if you notice, I don't go on certain lines, even though some of them are supporting of the Labour Party. I don't go because I'm afraid that if I say something that somebody doesn't agree with, they're gonna tell me about my and I don't use indecent language. That's why I mainly come on your platform, because I know more than likely I'm not gonna be subject to that type of
Not yet.
hostility. But yes, but what I was saying, neighbor, you're right. The country has been so polarized. But the only thing that I'm saying with this government so far, I have seen a shift towards trying to unify the country. If you look at the NSHP, the new social housing program, that is stretched across all 63 constituency. So both supporters of both political party
Thank you,
benefited from
Sean.
that program, right? Benefited
Yes.
from that from that program. It's not only Labour Party supporters that are benefiting. So I've seen where the Prime Minister is trying to lift the thinking of the people. If you notice, when they come at him, he doesn't respond. You know what I mean? All the hostilities that has come towards him, he has remained focused and he has not sunken to a certain level, right?
Right.
So, but the thing is, we are not, and that is why I said to previous on your program previously that the maturity of the electorate is we are still not there. And if
Yes,
this
you remember in the early days, Carl, we were speaking about our expectations of a groundswell.
right,
Some people were actually predicting 53 seats.
yes,
And
yes,
you were one of those early people that says, hey, hold up there, because you're not so sure that we are at that point yet.
yes.
That the transformation of our people that many are expecting was not there yet. And I think you have been proven to be dead right.
Every time. Because listen, neighbor, I've been following this thing for a long time, right? And that is why I do not get into seat count and seat prediction. I don't do it because we are not. When you talk about people, you cannot attribute people. You cannot look at numbers when you're talking about people in isolation. People will change like the wind. You're right. You have some people that will
let me
benefit.
ask you this, Carl. Let me ask you this before I forget. The cabinet, when they sit on Monday, I'm sure, I don't know, well, maybe not the cabinet, but the Labour Party, how you think they are interpreting this poll? Do you think they may be looking at themselves and say, well, what else could we have done? Because at this point, it's do or die. You have to go.
Yes, you're
Nothing
right.
more that you can come with at this point. You just have to. Eh?
Yes, you're right. You're right. There's nothing more that they can do. They can go out there now, because I think the reason why they were, delaying the election is that they want to put more runs on the board and think that more people will gravitate towards the party.
Yes.
Nowhere seeing that is not playing out. The longer they stay, it probably is going to be less and less.
Because but one of the things, Carl, and I think the listeners should understand this, that I do not think that this poll takes into account or captures any spin-off from the opening of the urban center.
No, because guess what? When this poll was finalized, in the very week that the Morat Bay Urban Center was opening. I think
right.
And
so I think that polling in Jamaica is too infrequently done for it to capture the exact state of the country at this point. This is a stale news, this.
But neighbor, it works both ways, because guess what, that opening at the Morat Bay Center, Morat Bay Urban Center, it has its negatives and it has its positive. You know why I say that? Look, for example, in St. Mary, right? Because everybody, that politics is local, right? What you're looking at now, people are looking and what is taking place in St. Thomas and say, what happened to me? What happened to us? People in St. Mary are looking at, but they get urban center, they get new highway. What happened to us? And if they could do it in St. Thomas, right, that means they could have done it in St. Mary. That is the argument, you know. Right? The other side to it now is that some people might look at it and say, you know what, if it happened in St. Thomas, that means one day in the future it's going to happen to us. But we are not a patient people. We are looking at it from the standpoint that, listen, why them fix up St. Thomas? Right? What happened to we? We're not somebody too. We want to fix up too. And as a result, I'm not going out to vote because them could have done the same thing that they have done elsewhere. Right? I heard you mention this morning about water, and this government, especially within the last year or so, they have been opening a lot of water projects. You know what? Every week, the Prime Minister is opening groundbreaking for water by he's turning on water. But the thing is, everybody's not going to be able to get water at the same time. But people are looking at that and says, that district get water, what happened to us? So we are not a people that look like it is futuristic and try to, you know, garner hope when we see it happen elsewhere. We want ours to be now. And I think that is a dilemma that the government finds itself in.
Yes, so yes, God. You are a supporter of the party, no doubt, and you would want to see Holness gets a third term. If you are an engineer, Carl, if you should advise the party at this time, what would you say, having looked at this poll, having analyzed it and looked at the parameters? What would you say to the party in terms of what do you do now, and also including your answer? Do you go for the election at this point?
To answer the latter, I will go for the election at this point. You know why? Because the last 4 years they have done a lot to convince the people and to demonstrate to the people that they are a government of performance, right? And my method going forward, my advice to the party is that yes, you have done well, but in your campaign you need to have some new ideas, some game shifting ideas.
You are saying that the party's manifesto is going to be critical?
Yes. It's like people are saying, like, listen, yes, we see what you can do. Yes, we see so you're good and you can manage the economy, you bring down crime and whatsoever.
In other words, they have to make some commitments.
Yeah, yes, we have to give them something in addition to the work that they have done so far. I don't think they can go on the platform from a night-to-night basis and just keep reeling off already things that have already done. They have to come with something new now to kind of put the icing on the cake now to say, yes, we have done that, and we prove to you that we have done that. No, we are going to do this. And from we have done that.
This is very interesting.
Yes,
so you are saying that in addition to reminding the people of what you have done, the Labour Party will have to create an aspirational manifesto that makes some commitments to people. So, for example, the man who not get water yet, he must be told that within a matter of 2 years, 1 year, we are going to bring the water to you.
Yes, something like that. And something, and you have to give Jamaican electorate, you know, Labour, what I've observed is if you give them something, they will vote for it. Because in the 2007 election, the Labour Party was going to lose that election. You know what brought back the Labour Party? When Bruce Golding introduced the free healthcare and the free tuition.
Wow.
That turned the table for the Labour Party. In 2016, it was the 1.5. Right? So once my interpretation is from you give the people something tangible.
But if I know Holness, and I think Holness is one of the more astute political functionary in our age, I think he's gravely underestimated, you know, Carl.
Yes.
I think so. I think that Holness has something up there. You know, I heard him whispering something in St. Elizabeth that he's been thinking about adding $3,000 to the minimum wage.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
A lot of people miss that, you know.
Exactly, because guess what happened now? And I like you see. I'm not saying that I'm in for a rigorous campaign, you know. But what I'm saying over the period, neighbor, we have to walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm saying while you're opening these projects, these new projects, launching these new projects, while you're keeping these workers meeting, honoring the workers, which I think is a strategic move. Don't underestimate that, because what Holness is doing now is motivating those election day workers, and if those people are motivated, right, they stand a good chance of retaining some seats, because that was what caused the underperformance where the local government election is concerned last year. The workers didn't feel good, so this is a good strategy. But all I'm saying, while they are doing that, they need to ramp up the campaign in a way that don't leave each members of parliament to fight the battle on their own. You need a team, a management team around the members.
But you are saying more. You are saying more, Carl. You're also saying that you need an exciting commitment, a promise,
right,
that people can look forward to.
Yes.
In the next year or so.
Yes.
An exciting commitment to the Jamaican people to say, like free health, that was, but like 1.5. That is going to galvanize people around it. Eh?
Yes, definitely.
Wow.
Because look, with this performance, you know, and with this, if probably all this was in a different country, and any country would have that, you know, that is coming from that have a poor economy previously, and to be put on a platform like this, where the economy is start to hold its own, and crime, all the big ticket items, all the pain points is starting to reduce. If he was in a different place, he probably wouldn't have to campaign that vigorously, you know. But in the Jamaican context, you know, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but we are a type of people, we do not reward hard work. We just like the Ray because the People's National Party is not really putting any policy forward, you know.
That is quite true. That is quite true. Before I come to you, not St. Catherine. Carl, someone told me this morning that had the poll showed the Labour Party ahead by 10 points, they probably would not come to Jamaica to vote. They would stay abroad and say the party have that won. But now that it shows that the election is tight, it is going to motivate a lot of people to come out and vote. You think that is true?
But I am feeling it now.
Yes.
Because I want to just have my shoes and come right now. To fit the campaign with the party. No, I'm telling you.
Yes.
I'm telling you. Because to be told, remember, I didn't expect a 10-point lead. I was expecting an 8-point lead. At least a point or two more.
So you are saying that for those persons who are looking to say, if the party is 9 points, then can't lose. We don't need to bother play with fear now and go down there. But now that they realize that it is at stake, everybody's going to get up off the fence.
Yes. Yes.
In other words, the poll could prove to be a positive for the party by showing it a close election.
And in addition to that, it also shows that the Labour Party, if they wasn't thinking about it, they has to hit the road like tomorrow morning.
So my analyst this morning told me that this is the best news that the Labour Party could have had so close to an election.
Exactly.
It is going to energize them, motivate them, and get them to push even harder. And that, they say, is bad news for the People's National Party.
It's going to be, it's going to be, because remember, you know, going into a third term, you know, this anti-incumbency, going into a third term, months away from election, and to be up 4 points is still commendable. It's still, you're in a pretty good position. You have a base.
Not only that, but when you consider that it really in the minds of Jamaican or most Jamaicans, the party has done fairly well. Let us even say that fairly well.
Yes, fairly well. I would say that. Say that.
All right. Let's hear from Churchill and St. Catherine. Stay with me, Carl. St. Catherine.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir.
I've been listening to you from this morning, from even with Mr. Vegas on it, and it's quite intriguing. I've never been on this platform before, and I've just been listening to Carl a while ago when he talks about the polls and all of that. I think the Jamaica Labour Party is in a prime position where we have done a lot of things that hasn't been done in decades.
You say we, sir. Are you a member of the party?
I'm a member of the party, yes.
Yes.
And,
are you a representative in any seat?
I am a campaign director in a couple of seats.
Wow, a campaign director. All right, it's very important that we know who we're talking to, so we can put the right questions to you. Yeah.
So basically, we can campaign on a track record that we have comfortably done, and a lot of people can actually highlight what we have done. But what he said basically catch me a while ago in the fact that the populace or the voting population needs to have something going forward. And we wouldn't want to miss that opportunity of somebody coming
You agree with that?
I totally agree with it. And
so is that a discussion that is taking place?
That is a discussion to see, but we are not going to go out there and make false or empty promises. That's the last thing we'd want to do. After the track record where we are, we are not going to make false or empty promises. Whatever we promise is going to be carefully crafted so that it can hit the points where we want to be hit. Just like
listeners, this is breaking news. The member of the Labour Party is on, and he's saying that something is coming. When the election is called, Jamaicans can expect some exciting aspirational commitments from the Labour Party. Go ahead, sir.
As I said before, we will never make promises that we can't fulfill. We'll never do that. We will never commit to something that is going to put the country at risk either. But we have always looked at what we can do to enhance the life of people in Jamaica. And what is significant is that our party leader, and I was at a meeting last night, and what is significant about it, that the party leader have always done things for the interest of Jamaica across the board. And I say this without any I can say this clearly. I remember when we went out and gave out the money in COVID, everybody got it. It wasn't based on postcode, sorry to use postcode, but it wasn't based on where you live, which ghetto you live in or wherever. It was done across the board. So JLP, PMP, No View achieved everything. When we gave out last year, when we gave the tax break, everybody got the tax break. Again, we didn't use areas where you live or anything. So what the Jamaican people are accustomed to know is a government that does everything, whether you're PMP or JLP or No View. As a taxpayer, you're entitled to benefit from the government. And that sets us apart from any other government at any other time.
Does it concern you, though, sir, that after 9 years, and you tout this impressive record, that after 9 years, you still are in a competitive race? Is that not something that you ought to be concerned about? For example, you must be asking yourself, my God, what else could we have done?
We are in a Westminster model government, and the opposition is always there finding ways and means to oppose. Even when there are issues that need opposing, they are going to oppose. And they are reaching out to a targeted an audience.
Yes.
That likes, and lies sells. And as long as you tell lies or misleading information or give information that has no credibility, people will latch on to it. So it's important for us to speak the truth and show our record in terms of doing that. And for the last couple of years, we have been doing well.
Yes.
People's National Party have found themselves in all sorts of, coming to a general election, you would find that the government would have more skeleton coming out. but the PMP has find themselves with more skeleton coming out than even the party in power.
Okay, so without revealing too much, sir. At what stage would you say the campaign is now? There is an anticipation in Jamaica. It's almost palpable, where people are expecting something. There is almost a stop, in the country where people are just waiting for the election. At what stage you think the party is in terms of the election? And when is it that we are to expect the date?
Well, those information I couldn't divulge, even if I knew it, which I don't, but I couldn't divulge it if I knew it. But we are at a stage now where we are at that door. We're on the brink of opening that door to full-fledged campaigning. We are in the campaign mode and we are campaigning. And I was saying to somebody this morning, we have chosen a different strategy of campaigning that has never been done before. Because if you notice, our leader is campaigning out there, but he's campaigning on what he's doing in terms of he's opening factories, he's opening malls, he's doing groundbreaking in water supplies. That itself is a form of campaigning, a rigorous form of campaigning, which has never been done before. And we can only do
in your moving around, sir. You are a campaign director for a couple of candidates. What is the enthusiasm level of the party supporters that you are picking up on the ground? Are the party workers enthused? Do they feel that this is something in their reach? Are they motivated to give Holness a third term?
I think all the party workers know they need a third term. It's not just one, they need a third term because they feel that we have done so well. And they are just, I think some of us, as I said before, anticipating more because they are so intent on winning that they think that we should be doing more to ensure that we are winning. But as I can say before, our leaders set the pace in terms of how we want to propel the campaign in a positive way, not drawn to any negativities.
But I get the feeling that the party is heavily reliant on Holness. You had him in the local government elections in a division until 3 p.m. And you still lost. The coattail effect of Holness in 2020, some are arguing, would have been blunted a bit. Is it that you guys are too reliant on Holness's appeal?
I mean, the Dr. Andrew Holness, as one of the youngest prime ministers ever in the Caribbean speaking history, has shown you a level of
the division,
and obviously with that, basically he has done something no other leader has ever done. No other leader as good as the others before him has been good at campaigning, but he has shown a level of campaigning style and strategy that none of them have ever shown before. So we gravitate to that style that he has brought to the table. And it's not about just gravitating, because in our own constituencies or in various constituencies, different candidates have employed different strategy. And different area councils too have employed different strategy for the area council as well. But it's significant because of the level of campaigning he does, and of course because of his usefulness. The other time when you have leaders out there 60s, 70s, and they are not able to come out as often as he does. This gentleman is doing his second term and he's 50. So you can understand how well he can move because of his age.
Coming to you, Barry. Give me a few more minutes.
Because of his age, you can understand how well he can move around and how well he can meet with people and how well he can move from one point to the next because he doesn't get tired as a man in his 60s or his 70s.
Yeah, the PNP would have targeted Holness, North Central and Capital.
Yes.
Yes, they would have targeted Holness, and for obvious reasons. To what extent are you seeing that on the ground as you move around? Is there an impact?
To be honest with you, they did that in 2016, and it had cost them the election in 2016. Now that Holness is more mature, it's going to only cost them more. to launch an attack against Holness himself, because he would actually wait until the last moment to unveil whatever he would unveil to propel that negativity against him. You know, we in the Labour Party is confident that he will continue to do what he was doing, and we will be victorious based on the nature of who he is. He has brought certain level of leadership to the party and to the hemisphere in terms of what he does. We can look at our records in terms of bringing down inflation to actually half since we have been there. We have actually fixed about 168 police stations in 8 years. 168 police stations has been repaired, built in 9 years. We have put almost 300, 400 new cars, police vehicle on the road. We have about 16 to 2,000 new police officers on the road. Crime has reduced significantly. So we can sit here and we can talk about the achievement till tomorrow morning, basically, in terms of bringing Jamaica to another level. So
let me take you back to the
whatever they push at him, whatever they throw at him, we are here to support him 101%, because of what he's doing is not political as far as I am concerned. Is about bringing Jamaica to the next level. When I spent 30 years in England,
okay,
and when I came back to Jamaica 2 years ago, it's a different Jamaica I've seen. We are way advanced in terms of all that we are doing beyond first world countries. And I can reach out to my friends and colleagues in the diaspora and say, listen, this is where you need to be in order for you to benefit from what is happening here. No longer we should stay outside of Jamaica and criticize the Chinese for coming to Jamaica and invest, or the Indian for coming to Jamaica and invest. You take your money and invest it into Jamaica, because Jamaica is in good hands.
Let me take you back to the poll, sir. As a campaign director, manager for a couple of candidates, you say, how would you look at this poll? And there are probably 200 Labourites listening to you right now across Jamaica and the world. How do you interpret the poll to them?
It's a very good poll. It's an inspirational poll. And
It's an inspirational poll, you say, sir?
Yes, it's an inspirational poll. We have an opposition out there been campaigning for over better part of 3 years. And they are more declining than increasing. In whatever poll they are in, they're showing no. There is no ascension to what they're doing. There's no increasing to anything they are doing. They are declining.
Well, the poll did show them picking up 4 points since February, though.
It did show some increase in February, but as soon as we start campaigning, and soon as we start highlight what we are doing, a lot of people start taking stock of what we are doing and realize
you are months away from an election. So how you mean when you start campaigning? Start?
As a government, we don't have a luxury to campaign indefinitely.
But then you have to listen to Bruce Golding. Mr. Golding said that, governments don't win elections. Parties don't
win the election, yes. But
so
as the key players in the government, we are more focused on running the country than campaigning. At some point in time, we'd have taken the time to actually campaign, which we are currently doing now. And a lot of persons out there, day and night campaigning now, and you can see it in the poll, the increase in the poll. And always be mindful that the poll is at margin of error, 3% forward or 3% backward. We would like to think the 3% is forward in terms of how it is generated.
But what you have just admitted, sir, is that the PNP's ascendancy is as a result of a default or a defect in the party. That the party has allowed itself to be too quiet, to have not pushed its message or the message of the government. And as a result of that, the PNP has gained a little bit of momentum. Momentum in politics and perception is very, very important, sir.
It is.
Yes, and if the people get the perception that the PNP has the momentum, yes, which I think the PNP is really trying hard to give, then
Yes.
it could take them over the edge. You don't think?
I don't think it will take them nowhere near to the edge. I don't think they
Okay.
have that in them at this moment. As I said before, they have been campaigning for 3 years, and this is the best they can get. I think they have reached a plateau now, and it's only descending. They can descend at this point in time. And what the party leader has done is allow them to start descending before we start capture those votes to continue to increase ourselves going to election. We feel that we can produce, and we have been producing what the country needs to move forward. And it's not by our own words, but by the international press that says so. We just have
Okay.
to.
So what you are saying is that in this race,
Yes.
you have enough in the tank to
Yes.
overtake whatever gains the PNP would have made and to drive through to the finish line.
We have that. We have more than enough in the tank to do that. And we have an energetic prime minister. We have a lot of members of the executive of the party who is out there working hard as well.
Yeah.
Members, party members out there working hard to make sure that happens. So while the camera is not necessarily shown on other members who are working, but there are members out there working very hard to make sure that the victory is ours.
Would you like to give us a prediction, sir?
A prediction?
Yes.
As I said to somebody the other day, we're looking at 40 seats, give and take 2, but 40 seats.
40.
40.
Have you ever listened to this program before?
First, I'm listening to it.
Well, sir, we do political forecasting here, and we called the election on Thursday last at Jamaica Girl. What was our forecast? I think we were at 42.
There you go.
Yeah, well, we have a forecast that comes on here Monday to Thursday, and he does political forecasting. Yeah, 40. We were at 41. 41 for the Jamaica Labour Party, and the rest goes to the People's National Party. So you're right near up to us. You're sure our forecaster has not been talking to you?
No. As I said before, we are on the ground and we are looking at the numbers and we are looking at the seats and we know the seats that we have confirmed seats literally from now, and we have seats that we know we can bring them on board, and we are at 40.
At 40. Want to thank you for joining us, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. You must come again.
I definitely will. Thank you a lot.
Great. By the way, which constituency are you working in? You want to say?
I am working in Clarendon.
Clarendon, okay.
Clarendon.
I think we have Clarendon. Is 6th constituency there?
6th constituency there. Yes.
Yeah.
We have
I think our forecaster is suggesting that the Mr. Shaw's constituency is likely you need to settle
in Manchester. Mr. Shaw is in Manchester.
Yeah, I know, but because it borders some in Clarendon.
Yes.
That there could be a little bit of spin-off there. I think he has Clarendon at 4-2 at this point. That's what you have it as?
No, sir.
You have
looking at the seat 5-1 and we're strongly looking at the 5-1, strong to the point where we're looking to look over in the 6-1 that there might be an upset there, but
yeah. So it's newbies one that we're not so sure about, eh?
No, I think newbie is gonna come out flying in flying colors. Flying colors.
We are a little bit more sure about Sibley's than newbie. Newbie. We feel that newbie needs to get up in the hills there.
Yes.
We'll have to do well up in the hills. He's
right?
Newbie
has been in the constituency before in terms of campaigning for other persons, so he knows the terrain, and he used to be working a constituency, joining to the constituency, so he knows what to expect. And he's a hardened campaigner. He's very good, meticulous speaker.
Okay, so I am being corrected.
Yeah, no problem with Mr.
It's 4-1 with one undecided, and I think that's the newbie seat that we have not called. So somebody's asking if you are saying that the Labour Party would have ticked off 40 seats, sure, in its column. 40, sure?
The question you're asking me, my perception, not the
Yes,
Labour
sure,
Party.
sure. Go ahead.
And my perception is 40 seats.
Okay, so the listener got your answer.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Respect so much. Boy, Churchill, you have been very patient. Churchill,
Yes, man.
thank you for your patience. Barry's there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to commend the previous speaker and Carl as
Carl?
well.
Carl is still here.
Yes, and the speaker, the gentleman that just came down. I think they've presented a lot of good points to the audience, and I want to commend them for that.
Yes.
In addition, I want to say, I think the PNP is trying to make grounds, and they're trying to do so with all kinds of gimmickry. The drill, one of the latest ones, and those things are not, in fact, those things, they're getting egg in their faces. So what this is saying, they're going to reach, and I think they reached their Waterloo right now. They're at a point where
Waterloo, sir?
Yes, they cannot get any further. The election is getting closer. We're drawing closer to that election date. And if they have not been able to make a significant bounce at this point, they can't get any further, because once the Prime Minister comes out and starts campaigning, the Labour Party is going to be able to connect a lot of the data, a lot of the macroeconomic data to our ordinary lives. They're going to be connected. People are going to realize, if they haven't done so yet, what this government has done, a much wider gap based on the performance that this government has put on the board so far. But because Jamaica is a developing country, and you asked a question earlier that there may be some fatigue factor. I don't think it applies here, because Jamaica is a developing country, and over the years, the country is really searching for somebody, some party that can really develop Jamaica. People are seeing it now, but as we know, they've dubbed Jamaica PNP country for years, and the resistance we're seeing is because of that strong base of the PNP. But now we're finding a lot of people are leaving the PNP. You may see it in dribbles right now, but it's going to get even more so in the years to come, as this government performs and put on more things, really give Jamaica the things that we need: the water, the road, the urban centers, and all the investment that is coming to Jamaica. All the people who are going to upskill themselves, the people who are getting scholarships to get their degrees. When those people in the next 2-3 years are matriculated and able to join the workforce, and the economy is just going to take off. As the Prime Minister said, we are at an inflection point where we can only go up unless something drastic happened, something, some natural disaster or what have you. But if we continue to develop this economy, people continue to invest, people continue to get more work, the healthcare system get better, the crime goes down even further. As all those things matured, the Jamaican people are going to get more matured as to what's important in a country's development. The PNP is not going to get new members. The young people are for the JLP right now. And more these young people, as they reach the voting age, they're going to matriculate into the JLP because they see what's going on. They're going to see a bright future. They're going to see that the Prime Minister is working for the country. PNP cannot continue to say this is a PNP country. It is changing, and it's changing rapidly. I say Jamaica Labour Party is going to win the next election. Not simply on the work it has done, but the aspirations, the inspiration, the hope it has shown to the Jamaican people. And people are buying into it. The Prime Minister in 2000 and not the last election, the previous election before that, he came out and said Jamaica is going to have a bitter medicine. And what that has shown the Jamaican people is that this Prime Minister is honest with them. He has built on that honesty. He's saying he doesn't make promises, he makes commitments. And we're seeing those commitments matured. People are more and more believing in this government and this Prime Minister. And I think when the election is called, people are going to vote overwhelmingly for the Jamaica Labour Party and the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness.
Wow. Well, great stuff. Hold on there a little bit. Barry?
Neighbor, I wanna look at two issues.
Good afternoon. Sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your listeners, to neighbors. Mr. North Central is a very good friend of mine. And I think he was spot on in terms of his evaluation and how he sees Jamaica. I want to touch on one point. I mean, I know we did very poorly in the local government elections the last time it was called. But I want to remember, neighbor, that at the time when the local government election was called, we Jamaicans were at the highest pain point in recent times. Remember, we're coming out of COVID. I mean, we're just bouncing back from COVID. And shortly after the country was rebounding, and we saw some realignment. We had this burial. And after burial, we had a significantly long period of drought leading up to the local government elections. And so what we find, neighbor, is that Jamaicans were just coming out of a season where things were not looking very well for them. I mean, they were not feeling the effects of the gains that the government was making coming out of COVID. The debt to GDP was coming down, but it was not being passed on to the people yet. And also, the government had to call a local government election because they ran out of time. They had postponed it so many times, and to the point where they were cornered and had to call the elections, and were not very prepared for the elections because the focus was on trying to build back the economy. Now, at this stage, neighbor, I guess the PMP did well in the local government election and didn't do as well as they should have. So, moving forward, when the government would have actually starting to trickle down the benefits to the people of Jamaica with all of these programs that are coming on stream and that have already been implemented, and those to come and those that are coming on now, it has significantly improved the people of Jamaica's confidence in the leadership of the Andrew Holness-led government. It is, you have not heard in recent times the whole idea of the whole trickle-down benefits. People are not talking about it again. What you hear people are talking about is how am I going to benefit from this? And where do I go and get the information? Because they know it's out there. So people who don't have the information are seeking the information. And your program and others, neighbor, are not seized on the fact that this information need to go out there. And when you started off this morning, you had a host of people coming to tell people what are the benefits that are available to them in the different government agencies and how they can access these benefits. And people are trying them out and realizing that they are true. And as a result of that, people's hope, as you would say, neighbor, has been heightened, you know? And people...
Yeah, but Barry, you're a man that knows the politics. You are an educator, a man with much experience in the politics. How do you see the polls that came out last night, specifically that the party is 4 points ahead? How do you read into that? What do you read into that in terms of the electoral prospect of the Jamaica Labour Party?
And I say to you that this poll, neighbor, is a very good poll. Not necessarily when
It's
I
a
say
very
it,
good poll.
yes, dear, in terms of how it was conducted and the information it provided, it is spot on. I think it actually reflects the sentiments of what currently is happening in Jamaica, right?
Sorry, Mr. Minot. You're a member of the party.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and you are an experienced politician. You have actually run for office, eh?
Yes, sir. I have in the past. Yes.
Yes, and you are suggesting that you read into this poll that it is a very good poll for the Labour Party.
It's a very good poll. It may not necessarily be the best poll for the Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, but it is a very good poll in terms of the information that it has captured.
Help us to understand, therefore, the good information captured.
Yes. So as Labour rights neighbor, we would want to see the party standing at 10 and 15%, right? Based on what is happening in the country.
Yes.
So when we saw it at the Jamaica Labour Party leading at 4%, a lot of Labour rights were appeased and annoyed to say that based on what is happening, we should see the Jamaica Labour Party at 10 and 15%. But
yes.
That is not the fact. What you saw where the Prime Minister is leading at 10%, right, is indicative of what we want to see as a Labour right.
Okay,
because
so it is the cumulative results of the poll that the party is looking at.
Yes.
Not necessarily the party standing.
Not necessarily the party standing. So it cannot give us an idea where the Jamaican people's minds are at right now and where we are as a party.
So this idea that the party leader is 10 points ahead in a country where we vote presidential, in other words, we vote for the Prime Minister. You think that is significant?
Very significant. And I tell you why, neighbor. Remember, we have two major political parties in the country. And when you look at the popular vote that wins an election, the popular vote that wins an election is never more than 10 or 15%.
Very good point.
Right? And so if you were to take that into consideration, to say that you expect a 10 and 15 point lead, what would that mean? It would mean that the People's National Party base has shrunk significantly. It would
be almost dead.
It would be almost dead. They would be blown out of the water completely.
Correct for me, therefore, Mr. Cliff Hughes, who a lot of people in Jamaica respects his view. So his take that the Labour Party, that the PNP is winning 30 seats is off.
Very much so, and I tell you why. When you look at when you go constituency by constituency, and so when they would have given you the polls, the poll numbers, they would say, let us look at the comparison between February and now, neighbor. In February, in St. Mary, the People's National Party was leading. In Hanover, the People's National Party was leading. In St. Elizabeth, we had some issues down there in St. Elizabeth. And
it was a dead heat.
Right. So when you look at 3 months later, neighbor, right, you saw where the JLP would have taken a 19 and 15 point lead, respectively, in Floyd Green and Frank Witter's constituency.
Which are bellwether seats.
Right? And you realize that if you look at the overall projection, the poll is saying that the Jamaica Labour Party is leading in 11 of the 13 parishes, which is even a closer shot of what we're seeing. So what we're seeing, neighbor, is that the Andrew Holness factor is playing out in constituency by constituency. And we have not done a constituency poll. The only constituency poll that they did was one that says the 3 bellwether seats that they actually did they increased the number of persons they interviewed in those seats to give you a closer picture.
Mr. Hughes has a reputation of getting things wrong, sir. He actually called the parish council election prematurely for the People's National Party.
True. Yes.
Where did Hughes get this information? How did he arrive at this breakdown of seats to be 33 in favor of the Jamaica Labour Party? How did he arrive at that number?
It was just looking he was just crunching the numbers,
the percentage.
and to say,
Don't you think that his own analysis ought to be a little bit more carefully done? To have done that is to place in the minds of his listeners that the election is a dead heat. It is not.
And then guess what? It is a motivator for both political parties when you see a poll like this. And why I'm very upbeat on this poll, as Mr. Brown would have said this morning when he was on, is that the PMP would have been campaigning for well over 3 years. And it means that if you go into a constituency and you ask the base of the PMP, where is your loyalty, and they are going to give you their full loyalty, right? And so what you find is that if both political parties' loyalty would have been out there for parade, and the Jamaica Labour Party is still leading, and with all this positive going for the Jamaica Labour Party, who do you think would capture the minds and vote of the undecided, right? And so,
Mr. Martin, in actuality, though,
yes,
let us use the 4% lead that the Labour Party has. How many seats actually would they come out with?
Well, I mean, if you were to use the numbers, it would be about 53-47% total island-wide. And then when you look at that 53-47, it would look probably 35-27 for the JLP, 27 for the PMP.
So
right?
you hold on, because you are an educator, you know, sir. So we have to listen to you. So then how did Hughes come up with 33?
Well, basically, I mean, it was crunch, just very similar way we look at it in terms of using the absolute number. And then what he did in terms of when he would have gotten some deeper analysis and look at what the PMP would need to do to win over another 14 or 15 seats. The best that they can do to win a seat, which I think was I don't remember which seat, I think it's Mandela Central, right? They would need to overturn 370 votes in order to be able to.
Mr. Martin, speak to the mathematics of it, because
Right.
the figures are there. If a party is 4 points ahead in terms of the raw numbers, how many seats does that translate into actually?
Right. So based on the raw numbers, 4 points ahead. So 34. You have to look at the percentage, neighbor. So assuming that the numbers are what would hold on election day, right?
Yes.
The JLP would actually have about 53% of the popular vote, and the PMP would have about 47% of the popular vote. And
how much percent is that? That is 6%.
Yes. So that would lead to neighbor 35-27. Would that be my 35-27 in that range in terms of seats, right? So so if you were to look at the actual number, then that is what it would mean. But neighbor, if we were to look at it constituency by constituency and look at how the leads are in each constituency.
You mean to apply the same 6% across the constituency?
Across the board, right? Constituency by constituency. And if you were to take the information that was provided by the Blue Dot pollster and say all things were to remain equal, the JLP is looking at 52 seats.
Hold on there, Mr. Biden. How you arrive at that?
All right. So if you are leading, right,
By 6%.
By 6%, and based on the numbers that we have, right? And let us say this goes right across the constituency. You are looking at popular vote, you are looking at base vote from both political parties, and the base vote for both political parties would mean that the Jamaica Labour Party would have actually had a stronger base than the PMP, even in those constituencies that were strong PMP votes in the past, right? And so if this number were to be constant without us getting the undecided on board, right? Let us say the number remain constant without the undecided coming on board. on board. The JLP will looking at about 52 seats, holding worst case scenario 47 seats.
Wow. Wow.
So,
it
so
is all left
basically,
to how you interpret the poll and
it's
how
all
you
left to how
apply.
you interpret it. And then when you see a 4% lead, when you see a 4% lead, it could be 2%, right? If the marginal error is 2.3%, it could be 6.3%.
Yes.
Or it could even be as high as 8%, neighbor.
Yes.
Depending on if 2% would go for the JLP, in favor of the JLP, and 2% going negative for the PMP, right?
So true.
So when that marginal error, we see where the PMP would have had like 31%. Let's say they were in the red. The marginal error would be in the negative for them. They would now be down to 29%, right? And the positive goes in favor of the JLP. They're up to 36%, right? So think of 36%, right, as against 29. So 29 from 36 would take you to where neighbor. That would be a 7-point-something% lead for the JLP.
No, this is an academic
right?
discussion that is fascinating.
So
in other words, Mr. Minor, the
yes.
poll is actually more positive for the Labour Party than they are making it out to be.
Than they are making.
The poll you are saying, when you do the mathematical analysis, gives the Labour Party, could give the party about 52 seats.
Could give the party
the same poll.
This same poll, neighbor, right? And
it's how you spin it.
It depends on how you spin it. Because if you look at absolute numbers,
yes,
the numbers may tell you that this is 4% or 2% or 6% or 7% nationally. So the PMP may be close between the JLP and the PMP, right? But if you were to take it, and then you have to factor in that the JLP is doing exceptionally well as a government, and the party leader has 10 points lead.
Not only that, but the party is ahead in terms of perception. In other words, people feel that they are better to manage the country.
All right. So, and I was just putting in context, neighbor, that the party leader has 10-point lead, which is also in the margin of error 2.3%, right? Which could give him a 12.5% to 12.3% lead,
or
and
8.
or 8. As well as it could even be 13.5 or 14.5% lead, depending on if the positive goes for the PMP, for the JLP, and the negative goes for the JLP within the same margin of error, right? So it depending on how you look at it. But what if this poll had come to me and said that the JLP was 12% leading in party standing, I would say this poll is a fake poll.
Why?
And I tell you why, neighbor. When you look at the PMP base, the PMP base is not completely decimated. The PMP still have a strong base out there. They are out there, they are working. You see it in the numbers of people who are going to these political rallies. You will see, right? So if you were seeing the opposition leader calling a party meeting, and then you would see nobody there, or a few people there, right? And then you probably would say the base is completely gone. And then you hear a whole lot of PMP coming out to say, we're going JLP now, right? Then you would say, well, yes. But you don't see that. You see the PMP base still maintaining their support for the PMP. So basically,
let us hold on there, Mr. Mainu. hold on. You are helping us here very, very much. Give us a minute. Stay where you are. Let me get some water, please.